Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Common Good Podcast, 13th of January. Rob, it's hard to believe that it's been 51 weeks since the Trump regime has taken over and started to destroy America systematically, brutally, and with a level of incompetence that's simply stunning. But it's been that long.
Yeah.
And here we are back with the podcast, which I don't know, we've done for a long time. I haven't looked up the dates of when we started all this, but for many a week we have talked about the Trump administration, and it's just, from our view. Now, granted, the majority of American voters thought on Election Day in 2024, well, let's have a refill of that guy.
Let's run that thing back. Yeah.
But it's just been terrible, and this week, for so many reasons, was just so brutal. But so we'll be talking about that. We know people's hearts are heavy. We know people are scared, and they see things happening that are just un-American as can be. Un-American. You can say what you want about this administration. I think the number one thing should be it's un-American. It's redefined America in a way that history will ask all of us, what in the world were you all doing? But we'll get to some of that, I guess.
Yeah.
So how else are
well, we're off to a happy
how's everything else for the happy talk time of our little pillow talk here? Get started on.
Yeah. Things are good. I had an opportunity the last couple of days to have some really fun campaign happenings. I went down to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Great.
And spoke to the Arkansas Education Association, which are, teachers union here in Arkansas, and had a wonderful time with those folks. And then last night, it was a packed house in Bentonville, Arkansas, to hear.
Was it a meeting in a tiny house?
No, it was at the Northwest Arkansas Community College.
Oh, wow.
And big room. And I don't know how many people were there, but there was a bunch. And it was me and Hallie Schaffner and Ethan Dunbar. Hallie and Ethan are running against each other to face Tom Cotton to be the Democratic nominee for the United States Senate. And so we met with the Benton County Democrats last night as federal candidates in the county. And boy, it was just good time. Really good time.
Do you have a preference in the two, or did you think to yourself, hey, maybe I should throw my hat in the Senate ring?
I do have a preference.
Okay. And that's not something you're wanting to share quite yet?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
No, though.
Well, thanks for your courage.
Yeah. Though either one would be a.
Right. Any blue will do for you. I know that, Robb Ryerse. Any blue will do.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
No, it's a tough thing, right? When you have two people that, sure, we have a preference for a lot of things. We're asked this question a lot in races that we get involved in. Yeah, we have a preference. And sometimes the preference is so strong, we're going to work for one or the other. And sometimes it's like, hey, it's not,
Yeah.
You don't have to express an opinion about everything.
Sometimes it's because we really like multiple candidates in a race, and sometimes it's that we really don't like multiple candidates in a race. Yeah. But it was a really good time. And I tell you, Doug, I'm finding and this is one of those things that, maybe I should have known. But I'm finding that I have spent 30 years of my life as a pastor, trying to create space for other people to share and to, and not having that, like, the pastor has all the answers kind of approach that many churches take. And I've very consciously taken a much different approach, especially when I'm interacting with people. And I think that's important on the campaign trail as well, to spend time listening, to hear people out. But I also, what I'm learning is that we're in a moment right now, and people want definitive answers. People want, like,
clarity.
Yeah, they want like, okay. And it's one of those things that something that I have been doing that I actually learned from you in, as we have talked with candidates over the years on this podcast and on the Common Good Candidates podcast, which by the way, you should, keep an eye out for this week because uh we've got another uh candidate
Installment coming.
Common
Yep.
Good Candidates podcast. Yeah, real good one. Um the person with whom I am going when we are both elected to Congress, I'm going to start we're going to start the Progressive Pastors with Tattoos and Earrings caucus in
PPTE.
the
Yeah.
in the
The
United States
PPTE
House of
caucus.
Representatives.
Great.
Yeah. So one of the things that it's what the United States House of Representatives needs. Um, and so one of the things I've learned from you is like you have asked a question of like, okay, in the job that you are running for, what will you do about this issue? And that's like, and so, last night I had the opportunity to speak with the great folks in Benton County, and I said, as your congressperson, here's what I will do about this. and whether we're talking about affordability or immigration, but being able to provide like
Yep.
not just speaking in generalities and platitudes and principles, but very specific things of like, no, here's how this works and here's what we can do. So
Right.
like one example, we talk about affordability and everybody, on the Democratic side is concerned right now with SNAP benefits. Well, one of the things that I've learned is that SNAP benefits um,
Hmm.
really suffer disproportionately as inflation rises because SNAP benefits are indexed to the consumer goods index, which tracks prices. And so
Okay.
as broadly as consumer goods go up, the SNAP benefits might increase based on that. The problem is that groceries,
Nobody
uh,
even uses that word anymore. That's a real old-fashioned word I've heard, groceries. Remember when Donald Trump said nobody uses the term groceries anymore? But
groceries.
go
I just
on.
learned this word, groceries. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Um, groceries are uh, rise at a much faster rate
Interesting.
than other consumer product goods.
Okay.
And so as with SNAP benefits indexed to this general consumer products goods index, uh, people who are using SNAP benefits, their dollar doesn't go as far in the grocery store
Okay.
than other people's dollar. And if we're going to, help people in the midst of this affordability crisis, we need to change how SNAP benefits are calculated. They need to be indexed to grocery prices,
Okay.
not to a generic consumer product good index, because they're actually used for groceries. So it's those kinds of things that like real specific examples of like, no, this is how this works,
Mm.
and this is one little change we could make that would make a real difference in
Yeah.
people's lives.
Mm-hmm. How does that go
And
over?
that's
How does
something.
that go over when you get into that level of specificity? Like I know you say people want clarity, but they also want, I don't know,
Well,
they want
it's
heat, not just light.
oh
So how
yeah,
does that go?
yeah. Well, it was I felt like last night I was a little bit feisty
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
and funny.
Oh.
Oh
Oh,
my
you thought
goodness.
so, huh?
Like, yeah, I did.
Okay.
I made folks laugh.
Were you
Or maybe they were laughing at me. I don't know.
okay? No, they
But
could have been laughing
my
with you.
goodness,
Sure.
things are so serious and so earnest and there's so much at stake. But we've got to remember that like humor, telling stories, engaging
Yep.
people's emotions, tremendously important part of this process. Um, to to draw people in
Yep.
into
Yeah. Good
and to
point.
build winning coalitions. So, I felt like I've I felt like you can bring a real balance of, hey, we've absolutely there's reason to be upset about affordability. There's reasons to be nervous. and kind of hit the emotional stuff, and then
Yep.
say, okay, here's three things that I will
Yeah.
do as your congressperson. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
And not leading with the policy wonk thing, but using the policies as examples of
Mm-hmm.
what can be done. And I think that gives people some hope to okay, there's some stuff we can do.
Yeah.
There's some levers that can be pulled here.
Well, I'll tell you, nothing warms my heart more than someone running for office helping to explain to the American people what that role in office does.
Yeah.
Because the civic instruction in this country is so low. Most of us don't know. I think I looked up at one point, maybe we talked about this here. Like, I think there are 11 or 17 people who are in a governmental position who represent me. Right? Like me living where I live in this address. It's like 11 or 17 people in the county, in the state, in the city, at the federal government, people who's like, I am their constituent. I have no idea what most of those jobs are or what they do. And some of those people I vote for, some of those people are appointed by other people who are voted for. But you end up with this whole range of people. And most of us, look, if you know your congressperson's name, good on you.
Yeah.
You're way ahead of the curve.
I mean, have you seen it's like the shocking thing that like only 30% of Americans can name the vice president?
Well, good for them. I mean, God bless the 70% that don't have J.D. Vance in their head. Just, what I wouldn't give to not have that guy rolling around in my head if I didn't know who he was. Can you imagine how much space and freedom and just comforts one would have? But you're right. Yeah, no, it's true. It's so look, helping people understand, which is kind of what we like to do around here on the Common Good podcast, for the percentage of people that don't know what's going on and want to hear us talk about it. It's like someone not knowing football and watching sports commentary.
Yeah, that's right. Now I want to spend some time talking about Minnesota in general and Minneapolis in particular.
Please.
Because Doug, your hometown has become the center of the political world.
Yeah.
And I wanted last week, and we didn't have a chance to get to it. I wanted you to explain the whole Somali fraud thing that's happening. Because I've been asked about that by conservative Republicans who seem to have a lot of knowledge. And I'm like, yeah, I am not following that story at all. And I mean, so we've got that. We've got, the ICE shooting that took place last week, just horrific. And then, even more broadly than that, you've got we had the shooting of state legislators.
Yeah.
We had, Tim Walz, George Floyd. I mean, what is going on in Minneapolis that your city has become like the epicenter of our politics here in America?
Yeah, I can't explain the cause of all of it. I can't explain that Donald Trump targeting ICE agents into Minneapolis was a political move. It's beyond a doubt to me. I hold this with the highest level of confidence that the reason ICE agents were sent here was that Donald Trump wanted to try to humiliate and drive Tim Walz out of the governor's race because he ran for vice president. That's why it's Minnesota. They target what they call blue states and blue cities, places led by Democrats. It's not because the people of Minnesota were burdened under immigration flood. I've joked on this podcast many a time. We're a border state. We border another nation. There's no wall between Canada and Minnesota. So if you want to say we have to have a wall to be a nation, we have to have a wall to define borders, explain to me why we don't on the northern border. We're not inundated by illegal refugees, people illegally in the country. The immigrant population in Minnesota is vital. It is thriving. It is fantastic. What's going on with the fraud that's taken place was that coming out of COVID, there were a number of fraud schemes that were put together. Minnesota was a place that was targeted for fraud schemes, specifically around providing care and support for certain groups of people. And some people targeted the Somali community as a place where they could offer services and then run scams on it. Some of those people doing that were people who've come to this country from Somalia, and some of the people running those were people born in the United States. There's fraud in the system. The state of Minnesota recognized it. The state of Minnesota saw it and saw that it was happening with daycares and saw that it was happening with healthcare, and they started working on it. And because they were working on churning out that fraud, people on social media found out about it. The Trump administration decided to target because of Ilhan Omar and her outspoken narrative about Donald Trump, and they decided to target this city and this state. That's what's going on. The fraud here is not that much more extreme than in any other place. I mean, you want to dig up some fraud and some big fraud numbers? Let's talk Florida. Look, if you want to talk fraud, I would love to. Do you know who's been convicted of fraud? The President of the United States. I would love to talk about it. We shouldn't have fraud in the state of Minnesota. Anyone engaged in any criminal activity? But here's what we know, truthfully, about the whole country. People not born in the United States commit less crimes, are charged with less crimes, and are convicted of less crimes than people born in the United States. That's true everywhere. If you want to get rid of crime in America, you don't start with the groups that commit the least amount of crime. Remember in the debate when Donald Trump said this ridiculous thing, we now have a new phrase called immigrant crime? That's a new phrase because Donald Trump decided to say that if an immigrant commits a crime, it's worse. It's like he has some scale of judgment of how bad a crime is. You know, we have these categories of like a felony and a misdemeanor and a gross misdemeanor, felony larceny. We have all these different categories, of which Donald Trump has been charged with all of these, by the way. And we rate how bad Trump is like, yeah, but if it's committed by an immigrant, then it would be a worse crime. So in other words, if Melania Trump was also part of Trump's scheme to defraud the state of New York and commit campaign finance fraud, that would be a worse crime than if he did it. That's just not true. We don't assign criminal activity based on the status of where someone was born. Look, every one of these Somali participants in the fraud that they have found are in this country legally, as legal as you are. By the way, subset in my little preachy sermon here, immigration violation is a civil violation in the statute.
It's not criminal.
It's not criminal. If you want to say that these people are criminals, you are inaccurate to a point of being dishonest. They are not. In fact, the criminal in the story is the President of the United States. The one defined criminal, the one provable, convicted criminal is in the White House. Not any one of the people who simply have a status violation are not considered a criminal. That's why they're deported and not put in jail, friends. They're deported, not put in jail. So if you think this is criminal law enforcement, look, and if the definition doesn't matter to you, then you're not going to care. But if you want to tell me that Donald Trump is not really a criminal because that court case in a federal court setting was not legitimate, but an ICE agent deciding that this person needs to leave the country and that some rando ICE agent gets to decide who a criminal is. If you want to live in that world and those definitions don't bother you, fair enough. But to some of us, it matters.
Doug, I can't help but think that there is a racial component to all of this as well. Um, that the Somali community is being targeted because of the tone of their skin. Um, you know, there's not there's not Irish communities being targeted. There's not Italian communities being targeted. Um,
Well, there
there's
are. I mean, just to be clear, there are Germans here who have been targeted. I know some who had to hide in the freezer in their own restaurant. So they are. It is not simply ICE going after people with darker skin in Minnesota. That is factually true. But none of your friends that you said conservative Republicans or friends have come up to you and said, what's going on in Minnesota, have said, hey, what's going on with the Germans?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on with the Irish immigrants that have overstayed their visas? But they are part of the, but overwhelmingly, ICE is targeting, and the Trump administration is using its rhetoric to target particular ethnic groups from particular places. That is absolutely true. The emphasis is 99 to 1%. But to be clear, there are people of different skin tonalities and different ethnic backgrounds. We used to not call Irish people white. We didn't call Jewish people part of the white community. We didn't call Italians white in America. Whiteness has been changing. In fact, having two sons of Hispanic descent, when we when I used to fill out the census, they would say white Hispanic or white non-Hispanic. In the census, the legal definition of whiteness includes Hispanics. So yes, this thing is, the entire construct of all of that is very confusing to people, but you are right. They are specifically targeting people who they believe, to quote Donald Trump, pollute the bloodstream of America. Or come from shithole countries. They don't say to Germans, send them back where they came from. They say, do you think we could get them a lawyer and see if we could figure out how they could stay here and keep running their German restaurant in Minnesota? So you're exactly right.
Yeah. And I think I think you early on you mentioned that you think Minnesota is being targeted as political retribution against Tim Walz. I absolutely think that that's the case, and not just because he ran for vice president. It was Tim Walz who had the really remarkable political insight to call Donald Trump and his crowd weird, and that, while ultimately the campaign pivoted away from that, that stuck, and that got under their skin. They did not like that. That really got to them. And so I think there's something about all of that for whatever reason, Tim Walz really is bothersome to the Trump administration, and there is absolutely some political payback that is happening now, which is why Minnesota is so targeted.
Yep. Hey, there's a comment in here by Dan, by Don.
Yeah.
The comment is, okay, now you pull the DNC race card. What percentage of Irish or other communities are on 80% or more of public assistance programs? Okay, so let me just make a comment about this. There's nothing un-American about being on an assistance program. We offer them to each other in a variety of ways. Some people get loans to go to college. Some people have federally backed insurance. Some people get a discount from the federal government on all kinds of life that they live. Some people are given
many
food
people
support.
got PPP loans during COVID.
Quick little search here, Don, to your question. According to USDA data for SNAP benefits, white Americans are the largest racial group receiving benefits. White Americans receive the majority of SNAP benefits, the largest group. Then African Americans, then Hispanic people, then Asian people, then Native Americans. Partly because of the number of people in each of those groups. But to your point, Don, because I think you want to have a conversation about this, you somehow think people should be deported because they're on public assistance. The largest group receiving public assistance are people categorized as white people in America, breaking out the Hispanic from the white group, as our census doesn't do. This, Don, is the reason that we bring up race, because you're pretty sure that race correlates with being poor for some reason other than social implication, causing people to not be able to access the American dream in the same way. The third largest group to receive SNAP benefits are Hispanic people. The number of people who receive SNAP benefits who are in the country, not born in the country with an immigrant status, is teeny compared to the number of white Americans that receive public assistance. So bring up your public assistance information all you want. It's not even disinformation. It's just a serious lack of giving a care about finding out the fact to your very own question. So thanks for asking it. And in between asking it here as if you're making a point, just a quick Google search. I mean, I did it while Rob was talking. It doesn't take long. You can actually listen to someone talk and Google that. But would it make any difference to you if the number one group that receives SNAP benefits are white people? Does that matter? Does it matter to you that the number one states where people receive SNAP benefits are in states led by Republicans? Does that matter to you? I don't think it should. It doesn't matter. If you need help in America, you get help. That's what we do. And look, to any of you that are pull yourself up by your own bootstrap types, shall we start an audit of all the ways that you have received assistance? Did you go to public university? Oh, you went to public university. Did you know that the state of Minnesota and the federal government underwrites all the public universities? Yeah, but you're not calling that somehow you getting a bunch of help. Did you go to public school? Did you go to public high school? Junior high, elementary school? Yeah, but it helps. Did you drive down a road that you didn't pay for? Did you drink some water that you were confident was clean? Look, I would love to talk about the way we can use our tax dollars to support the American people's living experience in this country, because it's great. But you want to live in your own little world where somehow you've paid for everything, you did it yourself. That's great. Hey, did you drill your own oil out of the ground and extract it and refine it and turn it into gasoline? Or did you use publicly subsidized oil companies to drive your big ass engine? But you're not living on government subsidies. No, man, you're paying for it all yourself. Man, I am ornery today.
I like it. I'm
just
laying out over here.
It just makes me crazy. If you want to critique it, go ahead. If you want to refine it, if you want to make it better, but if you want to act like you're not a beneficiary of it, no, thank you.
Yep.
Absolutely, Don says it shouldn't be an issue for help. How many people of any race are perpetual government assistance? Don, do you drive a car? Do you drive a truck? I know you might not want to consider all the ways that you receive public help as public help because somehow you've been told that you've been wheeling all that stuff up yourself.
Perpetual government assistance. Doug, are you making the argument that all of us live in a society where there is All of us are benefiting from perpetual government assistance.
Yeah, perpetual government assistance. Hey, real quick, if you believe this, what keeps you safe in America? What keeps you safe from other countries overwhelming us?
Perpetual government assistance.
Yeah, look at you, taker. Do you ever pay enough in federal taxes to pay for everything that you benefit from?
No. Perpetual government assistance.
PGA, not just the Professional Golf Association. It's perpetual government assistance. You know why? Because we have a society. You know why? Because we have a government. You know why? Because we have a federal government and state government and county governments, and that's where we all contribute together to make a life.
Yeah, because
if you want to live off the grid, I invite you to move off the grid. You can
if you do
it.
That you'll miss out on this wonderful
podcast
that goes out over the internet, which was a government project
and still funded by perpetual government assistance.
Perpetual government assistance.
Okay. All right. Don, we don't mean to pick on you. Thank you for sharing this here. But honestly, I appreciate your putting up with the madness it creates in me. Not just because we've talked about it endlessly here, but because it's so blatantly true. And the fact that you spend time, anybody, Don, I'm not just picking on you, the fact that you spend any time, I haven't read the comment yet, I'm going to keep looking at the camera. The fact that you haven't spent any time, you've spent so much time thinking about how those people are taking and so little time considering your own audit. They got a little more. Now you're talking about things that benefit all. That's a tremendously foolish way to make the argument. Oh my God.
No.
They don't benefit all.
They don't benefit all.
Oh.
Not everybody's on the internet. Not everybody drives a car. No.
Not everybody receives a child tax credit. Not everybody. No. I mean, we could just start down the road of how selective we are in government support for people. You know, when you fill out your taxes.
Just because you are in the group that gets the perpetual government assistance doesn't mean that everybody gets it. It might be a large group, but it's not all.
Yeah.
It might be a small group, but it's not all.
When you fill out your taxes and prepare to pay your tax bill, unless you're smart like Donald Trump and you lie in your taxes, because that's what smart people do, and you write off all those tax breaks. Remember, you have to decide, like, do I get this one or do I only get this one? Can I claim this or that? It's because you are picking and choosing how the government's going to underwrite your life.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're done with that. Thank you, Don. Thank you for your input. But look, this thing that somehow immigrants, look, the American population has been at even or in decline for the last 25 years. The only reason we've had a growing population in the United States is because of immigration. Without a growing population, it is extremely difficult, near on, I would say, impossible to grow an economy. You cannot have a growing economy and a shrinking population. Just imagine how you would do that. You grow the economy by more people spending, more people buying, generating more money, the government producing more money to be in the economy. That's how we do it. Everywhere in the world, there's a shrinking population, there's a shrinking economy. The economic reason for immigration is inarguable. What Donald Trump is doing in this country will have generations of negative effect on the economy.
Yeah, Doug, this is an interesting question to me. It's like, why is Donald Trump so hell-bent on doing things that very clearly, very evidently are going to have a negative impact on the U.S. economy? From the immigration crackdown to the tariff bullshit. These are things that are absolutely unquestionably going to have a negative impact on the U.S. economy. Why is he so hell-bent on it?
It is truly shocking. I think it's two reasons. One, he doesn't care and would rather have an economy built off of the people he thinks are real Americans. He has a very tight sense of we. Look, all of us should ask ourselves, when we use the term we the people, we Americans, who do we include in the we? Who's in your mental scape? Who do you imagine? Because you're probably not including everybody. When you say, the real we, the real us. And this is the problem in our political debate. Some of us think that the MAGA types, that the insurrectionist types, that the Christian nationalist types, they're not real Americans. Subpoint of a subpoint. Using real around any category is very dangerous.
Yeah. The only time the term real American should be used is in Rick Derringer's song, I'm a Real American, which was Hulk Hogan's theme song. That's the only time it should be used.
You shouldn't say they're not real Christians. They're not real Jews. They're not real patriots.
Not real conservatives, not real Republicans, yeah.
Donald Trump believes that a certain group of people should be Americans. He also falsely believes that the way the American economy grows is to extract tariffs from other nations, not understanding that it's the United States importer who pays the tariffs. He somehow believes we're going to get money from other nations. He doesn't understand and doesn't care. Any economist, anyone who knows and understands, recognizes that the economy is going to grow when the population grows and when the working and spending population grows. That's how it's going to grow. We're going to do that through immigration. We always have, we always will. We don't have enough immigrants coming in the country, let alone to be sending them out. We're barely hanging steady as a population. That might encourage you, that might bother you. That fact, it's just math. But it's a reality, and it's what bothers a whole lot of people. And ICE coming into this state is designed to harass people, to make it feel unsafe, so that immigrants in this country will leave and will choose not to return. The agenda of Stephen Miller, the agenda of Donald Trump, is to make America a place where immigrants are less likely to come. That's the plan. And it's a terrible plan. It is terrible. It will be bad for the country. And here's the good news. In 3 years, it will be over.
Yeah.
3 years and 1 week, it will be over.
Yeah.
And we will all still be here.
And listen, I don't want to necessarily turn this into the Respond to Don show.
Yes, let's please stop. But go ahead.
The statement
we're turning him into a foil, and it's not good. Okay, but one more.
Yeah, he says this ICE issue wasn't an issue in Trump's first administration. What's different? Biden's unvetted open border of 10 million plus people. Doug, how many times did you go to the border during the Biden administration?
A bunch. Made a documentary. I rode a bicycle along the entire United States border during the Biden administration. Shall we talk about open borders?
I accompanied you 2 or 3 times during the Biden administration to the border, crossing back and forth. When someone says unvetted open border,
there is one. They're 100% right. The border between the United States and Mexico is essentially open and unvetted. You can just walk in to Mexico. To Mexico. We have whole videos on it. We do it all the time. I mean, I fly to Cancun, it's essentially unvetted. I'm just checking in. You can go up to a border crossing and just walk into Mexico. Unvetted. You try to walk back into the United States, it is not unvetted. It is not open. You have to prove yourself. It is so ridiculously inaccurate. It just, again, the most basic research would unravel the base claim of MAGA Republicans. Yeah. It is not an open, unvetted border. Hey, if it was, why have we spent billions of dollars on border security? And if you've never been there, never seen it, have no idea, you just listen to what someone tells you, you might conclude that we have open, unvetted borders because Donald Trump lies to you. Lies to you.
Doesn't tell you the truth.
Doesn't tell you the truth. What's the definition of a lie? Doesn't tell you the truth. So you might think they're open, unvetted borders, but they go the other way. They go the other way.
Yeah, and I want to make a point that I made last night to the Benton County Democrats as well. I'm not afraid of immigrants. I'm not afraid of an immigrant getting a job. Not afraid of an immigrant living next door to me and what that might mean for my wife or daughters. I'm not afraid or bitter or upset.
It's on the Vote Common Good page.
If an immigrant, goes to the hospital and gets medical care, I don't mind. If my daughter is in class with immigrant students who receive free lunch, can we stop the fear mongering about other human beings? Like, these are human beings. They're not like people to be scared of. Can we just say that so much of this is rooted in a white supremacy, a vision of America that is, just look at the images put out by the Department of Labor and what their vision of America is, the Make America Great Again, being like a desire to go back to a 1950s idea where there's like the nice white family, and like, listen, I am not scared of my neighbors.
Great point.
And we got to stop letting the narrative be that our neighbors are scary. They're not.
It's a great point.
And I'm happy they're here.
Hey,
because quite frankly, Doug, your family wouldn't exist in the way it does without them.
That's right.
And in mine too. For us, this is personal for us. It's like the people we love most,
like our children, our adopted children.
like
you and I.
Yeah. I mean, we're not just a couple of white guys, scream, we're talking about our kids here.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, remember when Donald Trump told us that Venezuelan gangs were the greatest threat to the United States and we needed to declare them a terrorist group?
Yeah.
He took over Venezuela as the acting president in his own terms of another nation by self-proclamation.
Is he
Why is he the president of a country with a terrorist group? And what's he doing about the terrorist group in his country that's apparently the greatest threat to America? Oh, maybe it was all just pretext to allow the cocaine boats to travel in the paths he wants them to.
Oh, the paths he wants them to. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. He doesn't want them coming the way Venezuela sends them under the previous regime. So he abducted the president of the country and brought him to the United States because apparently he says that's what we can do. And then just declared himself in charge of the country. You know who else tried to do that? Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin. The fact that Venezuela hasn't put up a fight is despicable.
Oh.
We have a rogue president who's taking over nations at his whim. It's ridiculous. You know why? Because there was a federal indictment. You know what that reminds me of? The federal indictment against Donald Trump from the state of New York. The same place pardons a dictator, drug dealer from Nicaragua, and brings the one to justice from Venezuela. It's just so ridiculous, corrupt,
Doug, did you
and brutal.
Did you see Donald Trump's meeting with oil executives in the White House?
I saw that it happened.
There were two notable things. Oh my goodness. This could be. Did you see Donald Trump get up in the middle of the meeting and go look out the window?
No, you can just describe it to me though. My mental scape will allow for that.
Yeah, there were three notable things that happened in this meeting. One is at one point Donald Trump just kind of wistfully exited the conversation, got up and went to look out the window at the construction of his ballroom.
Wow.
Bizarre.
Just
Bizarre behavior.
Yeah, of a man
Number
who's
two,
losing it.
number two, Marco Rubio sitting next to him.
Oh, I did see that where he wrote the note.
Yeah. Donald Trump was,
Just read it out loud.
He's doing what does he call it? The weave. He was doing one of his weaves. And
he lost track of the conversation because his dementia was kicking in, is my guess.
And
I'm not a doctor.
Marco Rubio slid him a note reminding him what the topic was, and telling him to go back to Chevron, and he just read the note out loud into the microphone.
Marco says to do this. What I mean, there's times he's read off the teleprompter cues for him.
Yeah. And then the third thing, and maybe the most notable, was that Donald Trump asked the oil companies, and I can't remember which one in particular, if it was Exxon or if it was BP or which oil company it was, but asked why they are not doing business currently in Venezuela. And the chairman of the oil company replied, because of the U.S. policies that were put in place in 2019 made it
illegal,
impossible. No, made it impossible for us to do business in Venezuela. 2019.
That's when Joe Biden was the president before he was elected president.
Yeah. Was it Barack Obama who was president in 2019?
Or was it Barack Obama? I think Hillary Clinton was president. I think the radical left was president.
Was it? No, it was Donald Trump.
His administration.
It was your policies that caused this mess. Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk back to this ICE murder.
Yeah.
I think it's a murder. You can call it a homicide if you'd like, or just a killing. The death certificate will say homicide, as they all do. An ICE agent shot Renee Good in the face 3 times, twice from the side after shooting through the front of the windshield. Then called her an effing bitch. She drove away, likely dead, accelerating into a parked car, then stood callously and didn't respond. Rather than that being condemned, rather than putting out any empathy, rather than saying the death of an American citizen by a federal agent in America is heartbreaking, which is the most basic response. She's an American. Does not matter what her political beliefs are. Does not matter what her actions were. She's an American who was killed by a federal agent. To that, Donald Trump wrote on his failing social media platform, The woman screaming in the video was obviously a political agitator. He lies. The woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, it's hard to believe he's alive, but now is recovering in the hospital. None of that is true.
Not a word.
The situation is being studied in its entirety, and the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement and ICE agents on a daily basis. Rob, it's not against the law to protest your government.
Right.
I want to know all the people who have been charged with the crime of assaulting ICE agents. Because if they assaulted ICE agents, they've committed a crime. But protesting, agitating, speaking out, you know what's not a death sentence in the United States? To be a radical leftist. You can be a radical leftist and be as American as America can be. Just like you can be a Christian nationalist conservative and be as American as America can be. You are not given a death sentence for your political beliefs. And when is the don't tread on me crowd going to start taking seriously that being targeted by the president for your political beliefs is anti-American? When will we hear those people say, you cannot stifle my political opinions? Whether I'm a paid agitator or not has nothing to do with it. Do you know who's a paid agitator?
Stephen Miller.
Stephen Miller. Paid to agitate. Still an American.
Doug, I
don't think every American should be in control of the federal government, and that man should get himself out of the federal government because he is a hazard. But he's an American. This post targeting the American people who believe differently than Donald Trump and basically saying it's okay if ICE agents kill American-born citizens if they determine that they're somehow part of the radical left. A completely made up narrative, by the way, about the radical left. Show us the rap sheets of all the people who've assaulted ICE agents. And if she didn't, which she didn't, she shouldn't be executed.
That's right.
It's beyond foolish. It is grounds for impeachment.
Right. This was, going back to the tragic incident that happened just 5 blocks away a few years ago when George Floyd was killed. People say, but he passed he had counterfeit bills. He used a counterfeit $20 bill and okay. What's the punishment for using a counterfeit $20 bill?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not death.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure the punishment for pulling out in front of ICE agents,
trying to get away from them when you're shot in the side of your face as you're leaving an ICE agent.
It's just so horrific.
You can't, there is no, look, to anybody who wants to say she was endangering an ICE agent, and you also want to say that Ashley Babbitt is your hero, who was killed by police in the insurrectionist attack on January 6, 2021, that somehow people literally attacking police officers are a hero, and the person trying to drive away from immigration enforcement, who she has no responsibility to follow any of their orders because they do not have legal authority to stop her, shoot her in the side of the face.
Yep.
I mean, seriously.
Let's
clarify the morality here. And let's clarify the law here. This man will and should be prosecuted for his actions. The terrorizing activity was in his hand with a phone in one hand and a weapon in the other. It is so unprofessional. If he was a part of any other law enforcement agency in this country, he would be fired for his behavior. You don't stand in front of a car if you believe it is dangerous with a person behind the wheel and it's running. You don't circle the car recording it. You don't walk up and try to pull open the door of a car if there's a person in it with the car in gear. All of those things are not things that any trained police enforcement person would do. But an ICE agent is not trained. That's not their job. They are thugs wearing masks, masquerading as law enforcement, and they are a menace.
Doug,
I am on fire here. You can tell there's a lot of pent up, and
rightfully so. The solution here ultimately is not de-escalation training for ICE agents.
No.
The solution here is not clearer procedures and policies. The solution here is that we have to abolish ICE.
I think yes.
This organization needs to go away.
It is rotted from the inside out, from the top down.
The United States of America. Do you know when ICE was established, Doug? It is not some great American institution.
Yeah, I don't feel like I do. Maybe after Homeland Security, 2003.
ICE was established in 2003. 2003. The United States of America existed for 227 years without ICE.
Yep.
2003 was the year that MySpace was founded. We exist today without MySpace. We can exist today without ICE. It is not a necessary, American institution. It's not. It has proven to be a real burden to the health and welfare, not just of immigrants, but also of all people living in this country and, in fact, our culture. And it needs to go away. The only solution is to simply abolish ICE.
Yeah, we need to reconsider the entire way. ICE stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. ICE exists, as you rightly pointed out, as a result of the reconfiguration of Homeland Security after 2001. When we reconfigured the apparatus, the many facets of our law enforcement and international protection agencies.
Yeah,
so created Homeland Security separate from the work that we're doing in other places in the country, trying to be sure that communication is working better. And so they pulled border enforcement into the militarization of Homeland Security. It was a terrible move, a huge mistake, and it needs to be unraveled.
Yeah, and listen,
people running for Congress, I'm speaking to you, Robb Ryerse, need to move to restructure this following 100%. The leadership given by Congressperson Veronica Escobar. In her bill, she 100%. Paints the picture.
100%. And listen, we've tried things here in America that haven't worked at times and have had to change. I think about prohibition. Well-intentioned.
Nice.
We're gonna try this thing, and then we're like, oh wait a minute, that had some unintended consequences. That didn't work out so well. We're gonna roll that thing back. We can do that with ICE.
Yeah.
We're not stuck with this. Like, let's just do away with it.
I mean, it's
Let's
self-evident.
go, okay. Well, that didn't work out like we intended. Live and learn.
It's
Move
self-evident that we can change because it was created in 2003.
Because we existed for 227 years without it as a nation.
But look, what the Trump administration has done specifically
With
to
unvetted
weaponize
open borders, apparently.
to weaponize these agents, to give them bounty payments on how many immigrants they put their hands on, and to bless the fact that they will cover their faces and act as martyrs. What's the word I'm thinking of?
Marauders?
Marauders. Act as marauders coming into town. Do you know who in the parlance of American history wears masks? People living in a pandemic and criminals.
Outlaws.
Outlaws. Bank robbers. ICE agents. Why? Because they want them looking like the police forces in the nations where many of these immigrants have fled, who are blessed by their government to harass, condemn, and disappear people. They like the look of it. That is the Trump administration. Congress should act and make it illegal for any law enforcement agent to wear a mask for any purpose other than protection. And protection from being vetted or doxxed is not one of them. Do you know how we know that it doesn't work to wear a mask while you're out as an ICE agent so that you're not figured out who you are? Because we all know who the shooter of Renee Good was. Because you know what you can do? Facial recognition from the nose up.
And because
my phone, when I make a Face ID, says, do you also want one that includes a mask? Sure, because easy enough.
We know who the shooter was because the head of the Department of Homeland Security told us that this same agent was involved in another incident, and that had been reported on, where he aggressively broke the back window of a vehicle and got dragged while he attempted to tase the driver of the vehicle. It's almost as if this guy doesn't follow proper procedure.
Yes. And they've somehow said, oh, the fact that he had another incident.
I'm not getting dragged again. I'm going to shoot her in the face.
3 times. I am going to, they're saying he's going to be exonerated because his previous bad actions are still lingering. If a man's previous interaction in a incident has made him unstable, why do you put him back out on the street? That's not a defense.
That's an indictment that this the whole thing is wrong. It's cruel and unusual punishment
to put him back out there if he's so dangerous.
Yeah.
I saw a wonderful video of a person who I think was from East African background, maybe Somali, because of the way she spoke. Surrounded by 3 ICE agents. She's filming it. They're saying to her, where were you born? She's like, I'm an American citizen. They're like, where were you born? She goes on and on. I'm not telling you. I'm not giving you my ID. I'm walking on my streets here in Minneapolis. This is my home. I'm an American citizen. They're like, you either tell us or you get in this car. Did you see this? Have you seen this video? They're like, you get in this car, we're going to ID you if you don't tell us where you're born. She said, I don't have to tell you. I'm not going to. This goes on for a few minutes. Finally, they just leave. Because they know where their authority is. They can't just put a person in a vehicle. They're not police. What's having to happen is that the American people are having to figure out where our rights are, exert our rights in protection against federal agents sent by the Trump administration to tread on us. That's what they're doing. And that's what people are resisting. Good for her. Good for all of us. And I get messages all the time because I'm in Minnesota, and people are like, be careful when you're out there protesting. And I saw a police chief say to a bunch of protesters, or police captain say to a bunch of protesters in Minneapolis on a video the other day, where he said, look, we're here. We want to support you in your protesting, and we're going to allow you to do this. Hey, here's the point. You don't have to be allowed to protest by anyone. You don't ask permission to exercise your rights. You don't ask for permission for the freedom of speech. Yeah. You don't ask for permission for the freedom to assemble. You don't ask for permission for your constitutional freedom to redress your government. You don't have to ask for permission to do that. You may have to get permission to be in a certain location, but a public street is not one of those. So I know we kind of get this idea that like, hey, everybody be careful. We have to like walk on eggshells because the fragile police or the fragile ICE agents might harm us or damage us. That's not our job to manage the people we give guns to. That's their supervisor's job. It's out of control. It needs to be shut down and reconstituted. The short phrase for that is abolish ICE. What is it they used to say about Obamacare? They wanted to repeal and replace.
Yep.
It's got a nice ring to it.
I have a T-shirt that says "Repeal and Replace Congress."
Good one. How about repeal and replace ICE? That's what people mean. Well, that's what not everybody. That's what some people mean by abolish ICE. I do want enforcement of immigration and customs, because I want customs agents to be looking in every truck and every boat and every car that comes in this country that's carrying fentanyl. Instead, we're chasing immigrants around Minneapolis. I want Customs and Border Patrol to patrol the border to keep out the illegal drugs that are coming in this country, not human bodies.
Not in the backpacks of people crossing the desert.
And we know this because when they do, that's where they find 90% of the illegal drugs. So we need to replace immigration and customs agents with those who are not targeting human beings and targeting the problem. Yep. And that's why Rob is running for Congress. Yep. Yep. All right. I got to stop this. I got to quit yelling because in a couple hours, we got a meeting with James Tallarico, and I got to get this energy out of me. James Tallarico's running for Senate.
I really want to see you just yelling at James Tallarico.
Yeah, just losing my cool like this. It's faith leaders that are meeting with James Tallarico. We're going to record it, and we'll put it live. Wherever you're watching this, you'll be able to watch that. It could probably come up later this afternoon, sometime 3 o'clock Central Time, something like that. We'll be able to put that conversation up so you all can watch it. It's a Zoom meeting with 300 plus faith leaders and James Tallarico talking about the role of faith in politics in America. So
yeah, and we'll also be putting up a conversation that I had with Justin Douglas, who is running for United States Congress against one of the leaders of the Freedom Caucus in the U.S. House of Representatives, and Justin and I had a conversation. And that'll be up on the channel as well this week.
Great.
In our ongoing common good candidates conversations.
So lots of things in the works, lots of things happening. Thanks for being a part of this. First of all, thanks to Don. There's Mike Stavlin. In Irma, Yabitz, Alex.
Divina,
what a great name that is. Divina.
Reginald.
Thanks to all of you. We appreciate y'all being, wow, there's so many of them. I kind of lost track of a bunch of these. Thanks, Dave. I think there were some trolls in here for a bit. I love it when the trolls tell us that we have a podcast nobody watches.
Except you.
One.
Vicky.
Thanks, Vicky. See that? Yeah. Swirly Pepper
Jim.
Lifestyle. Yeah. Jim, I'm with you. Where has the states' rights crowd been around all of this?
Yep.
So,
just
all right,
missing in action.
Lots of comments, lots of things going on. Thanks, y'all, for being a part of the Common Good podcast. We appreciate you. You can listen to this and send it to a friend, wherever you're watching this, but also if you want the audio-only podcast, this is put out as an audio-only podcast. And sometimes some other special things are put out just on that podcast streams that aren't here. So it's worth your double dipping if you're a podcast listener and you want just the sultry tones without the without the captivating visuals. All right. Are we done?
We're done.
Okay. Vote Common Good, everybody.